When you're wanting to satisfy your pizza craving, there's only one place that comes to mind, and that's Little Augie's in Breeze. Select from an in-house favorite or get creative and make your own special pizza from the long list of the freshest toppings available. Order it thick or thin, crisp on the brick, or soft in the pan. Not in the mood for a pizza? Try one of Little Augie's pastas or something from the sandwich menu. Round out any Little Augie's meal with a salad, an order of breadsticks with cheese, or an order of hot wings. Dine in, pick up, or with the largest delivery area in the county, have it delivered right to your door. Little Augie's on North 2nd and Breeze. Phone 526-7040.
It's Pedal to the Metal Wednesdays, 97.5 The Rock, and I know we talk all things motorsports here, racing and the like, but a cool event coming up early next month on June 6th, 7th and 8th. It's our second annual Teed Off at Cancer golf event. And when I say it's an event, Tim, it is an event. We start off, for those of you who want to, you don't have to, we start off 4 o'clock Friday night, Friday evening, and start our 24-hour golf marathon, and we wrap it up with a 4-person scramble the next day, and we raise money for the His Kids organization, helping benefit kids with cancer and their families. And if you want more information, we should have everything posted on the website for sign-up sheets and pledge forms and all of that tomorrow at WDLJ.com, and that's coming up. And I don't know if Lenny has been known to go out and smack a ball. I know he goes to the races, and through the modern technology, we finally got him back. Lenny, you there, buddy?
I am. I used to hit the little white ball until I had my surgery on my back in 2008, so I've had to give it up. But if it's got a clown's mouth and a windmill, I'll still go at it.
You're there, man.
That's me. That's my type of golf right there.
I was out. I was down and out. Of course, we had to kind of amend the season. We kind of wrapped it up at the Gold Crown Nationals because that was really whenever my back. I pushed a little too hard at NHRA, kind of recouped it, thought I might have it under control, and I was down flat on my back. And the one thing that I was talking to the orthopedic surgeon about, I said, I want to be able to play golf. So whatever we do, that has to be in the mix. He said, no problem. So I dodged a bullet, thankfully.
Oh, yeah. Now, you're not that far from East Illinois. Did you ever play golf with Tony Romo, or does he play out that way, or only down in Dallas?
No, I didn't get an opportunity to play with Tony Romo, but however, I did get an opportunity to play with Tom Morgo on an occasion, so he's a former champion, of course, the senior tour now, as they call it. So
I made it here at the little golf course here at Carlisle.
Yeah.
Around to the water hole, and I dropped 4 of them in there, I think, and that's when my dad told me just go back to the clubhouse.
That was the 4th hole.
Yeah, that's how far I made it. That was my experience of golf.
Well, let's talk about things that go around and around in straight lines and go crazy with a throttle here on Pedal to the Metal Wednesday. Of course, Lenny Batycki joining us, Take Two. He's with, of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Z-Max Dragway. He does a lot of good work with PRN and their podcast. You can follow him on Twitter as well, PRN at the track on the Twitter account there. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But wrapping up the craziness from Talladega, then we're going to get into the NASCAR and the fines and the rescissions of some of these sanctions against some of these teams. But Ryan Newman was not real happy when they restarted the race. He was very vocal, but they said we'll give you a pass on this one. No fines for Ryan Newman.
that was odd. He was real vocal, used some rougher language than we want our kids to hear, and kind of got a pass on that one. Although Ryan has been in the past on super secret probation and gotten super secret fines, so. You just kind of shrug your shoulders. Was this a make good on that, or what happened? But
he's hanging around that Stewart kid.
The drivers are passionate. I seem to think that the race had its big wrecks in the daytime, in the nighttime, in the rain, in the dry. I think that's a part of what going to Talladega means. It doesn't necessarily get any worse or less because of some of the conditions are a little tougher. And it certainly wasn't optimum conditions that they were going under there, but I think they had, the fans and the television and everybody at home they were trying to appease, and it wasn't like, the drivers didn't have at least some ability to, pull the cars in and say, you know what, we're done here. Our team owners don't want us to go back out in this or what have you.
Right.
I think that, Ryan was, caught up in the moment. And, he probably would rephrase it some. I don't think he was meaning to be quite as rough on those other people, I think, as he called them. But the sport's doing pretty good and doing pretty good by him, and his deal. So maybe this was just a bad day.
Well, it's the company he's been keeping with that Stewart kid. He's just a bad influence with the potty mouth. I think that's probably it. What do you think?
Yeah, must have been. Speaking of potty mouth, I would have loved to have been a fly on the motorhome wall when Stenhouse walked in and said, "Hi, honey, how'd the race go for you?"
Yeah. How's that going to work?
Yeah, I don't think it was a romantic Sunday night by any means. Not the kind of bumping that one would hope for at 190 miles an hour or anywhere else there. That couldn't have been good conversation.
You think they flew home in separate planes?
Maybe in separate parts of the same plane. They certainly weren't sitting as close as they were, let's say, at Richmond a couple of weeks ago.
Basically, they got a little nudgy on the track.
Ricky was trying to go to the outside. I think it was Yaley, started to go towards the inside, and you got to be careful. JJ has had his moments of good runs, but he was up there probably in an area that he hasn't been in a while, and Ricky, because he's a rookie, didn't know that or wasn't thinking in that way. But caution might have been a better scenario for Ricky, trying to stay behind Yaley than to just as soon as something opened up, try to dart around him, because it was just too tight, and you just can't quite tell what that car was going to do. And obviously it did something that Ricky wasn't ready for.
I sometimes think that Yaley still thinks that he's in a sprint car, the way he attacks things and goes about his racing theology, I guess you'd say, how he sits and looks and studies the race and how he races it, because I always thought he would have done a lot better. Of course, he's been in there. He's hung in longer than what Kinzer did when he went and tried NASCAR. But still, he has those moments when the talent pool kind of runs short.
Yeah, and he was so good, winning the 3 USAC titles in the same year and everything else like that. And he's a good person, a good driver in a lot of other things, but it doesn't seem like handling this type of vehicle is really, what his driving style is best suited for. That doesn't make him a bad guy, doesn't make him a bad driver. It just doesn't seem like we've ever been able to see the potential materialize that I think all of us had hoped for JJ in stock cars. And I like seeing good racers do good things and have good finishes, and a guy like JJ you want to root for, and it just hasn't happened. So
exactly,
maybe maybe a guy like Brian Clausen, if we're going to draft somebody out of open wheel, maybe he should get the next shot and trade places.
Well, it's like they brought Sam Harnish in out of the IndyCar realm, brought him in, and he tried just a short bit in NASCAR. And last year he didn't do too bad when he filled in, I guess, on the 22 car.
Right.
And now they got him into the Nationwide Series, and he's doing really well. Maybe that's something that Yaley maybe ought to fall back into the Nationwide Series for a little while and to try to sow some more oats and get something under him. And I agree with you. He's one of those type of drivers, you look at him, you're going, he's just missing it somewhere. And, I'm sure they've got enough talented people around there to help him and try to get him to unmiss it. But, yeah, he's missing something somewhere.
And the difference,
and that just happens. That's no fault of his. And
exactly.
Was he put in the wrong situation at a younger age when he was at Gibbs and didn't learn the proper things that now he can't go back and relearn? Who knows? But he's one of those racers that you feel good about him doing good. He just doesn't do it enough. And hey, I want to make a note. Tim, drag racing fans need to be reminded that Friday and Saturday, the 2 days, the 10th and 11th, are the Atlanta rerun. They're going to, go back and run the nitro cars and everything in a 2-day instead of a 3-day format. So I guess they'll have to check the websites and the ESPNs and all that. But Friday is 2 nitro runs, supposedly, and then they go into elimination Saturday and button it up, and they're out of there.
It's kind of funny. The professional racing realm does not race on Mother's Day, and they do everything they can to avoid it. It just amazes me. I mean, to us, we went racing on Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't slow us down anywhere when we were doing the bracket thing, or even any stock car racing. Yeah. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think, from a promoter standpoint, moms rule the roost, and they maybe want to, be taken to brunch and, go to Sunday service a little bit more special with everybody dressed up and, the hair slicked back just right. And, I think we all love our moms and know that, she got us the first bicycle that we raced or let us, have the first car or whatever. And we'll give her a day once a year. It's not a bad thing for mom.
There you go.
That's all right. We can tolerate that. And, of course, looking at what else has been going on in NASCAR, of course, since the NHRA race down in Atlanta was washed away, again, coming up this weekend in a special two-day event. But they had a lot of appeals going on the past week or so here, this past week. And first off, let's start with the first one that got our attention, the Penske penalties. They've rescinded a little bit of that and softened the blow on basically, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Lenny, the parts were all approved parts, just not the way that they were mounted and the way that they were using them, correct?
Well, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, so the language is above my pay grade. But somebody I think worked on the language maybe even more than they worked on those parts. But either way, Roger Penske is a class act and a hero to this sport, not just to fans and drivers and teams, but somebody that's really, he built speedways. He was a racer, a car owner for years and years. And, I think if anybody deserves a little bit of an opportunity to say, I was out doing corporate business. My team guys did this. We won't do it again. And, I mean it. When Roger Penske says he won't do something again, he's not going to. He's got the trust. And I believe that the people responsible have already been set down and know that they need to continue to be top quality employees, push for speed, but don't push into where it can embarrass the company, the sponsors themselves, or anybody else. And, John Middlebrook, it's funny, he is the name that everybody is, associating with the lessening of the penalties. He was the official in charge of that. And Middlebrook, for the longest, was the Pontiac representative that made sure that all the teams got their Pontiac race cars. Well, remember when Roger and Rusty had Pontiacs? That's when Middlebrook was the guy. So, that's like having Tim decide whether Moose, should get, another scoop of ice cream or not. They're buddies.
Well, yeah.
Tim says yes.
I mean, there's still some sanctions. I mean, you're looking at 25-point deductions for the drivers, $100,000 fines for the crew chief, trim back the weeks of suspension, and they will be back prior to the 2-week NASCAR Prince Cup Series at Dover. So, I mean, they soften the blow and the depth of the blow for Penske, which is kind of, it's one of those things whenever you look at intent, and albeit Roger Penske, doing his corporate things and the mice put it in there. I looked at that particular fine, which I thought it was extremely excessive. I kind of agree with where they are now, but then I go fast forward to what happened at JGR with Joe Gibbs. And a part that came in weighing less than it was underweight by the smallest of margins, basically about the weight of a dime on a connecting rod. And it's like they threw him under the bus, then backed over him a couple of times, but they've rescinded that as well. They've re-implemented his owner card so he can start garnering owner points, which if he'd have won, if he'd had the points to win the championship, would have been millions lost. They really did kind of. I think that was a good ruling there as well with what went on with Matt Kenseth's car there after Kansas.
Yeah, correct me. I didn't study the initial ruling back a couple of weeks ago when it happened, but it was only one connecting rod, wasn't it? It wasn't the entire set.
Yeah, that's Yeah, I was going to say, that's the whole thing we had Scott Kuhn in there, and we talked about too, and he said it had to be the whole set, because anybody that's worth their salt in engine building will not let connecting rods go out of weight.
Balanced.
You'd be out of balance.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was one of those things, I think, that actually slipped through the cracks, an unintentional issue. And I think when you talk, there was no competitive edge gained by that. But still, it was still out of whack, and they still are sanctioning him a bit, but they're not being so heavy-handed in that realm and giving an opportunity for that Kenseth's team with JGR an opportunity to win some points and also putting back into the wild card play. But they did deduct some driver points, and the fines are going to stick. So well,
and I think both fines now are at acceptable, reasonable levels, and I think before, initially, they were at that as well, because you want to make sure that these teams, if they are found 100% guilty, understand that the RAF could be this, dominant. But, calmer heads and a little more investigation, and the good things that NASCAR does about taking their time and having some reviews and giving everybody a voice in it after the initial sanction, I think is good. I think the process worked, and nobody is going to be happy on every speck of it. But I think, again, NASCAR in the long run has been right almost every time across the 50-plus years or 60-plus years they've been doing things. That's why they are the king of the hill when it comes to motorsports.
Oh, I agree. I mean, there has to be sanctions involved. It's just throwing the baby out with the bathwater and something. And that's kind of was the knee-jerk reaction when they levied the fines on both. They were like, wow. And especially with Joe Gibbs, it just seemed a little bit excessive. But now they've pared it back, and is my 2 cents worth is I can live with it. That seems fair. But they're also setting the standard, like you said, that if anybody does go in there and start monkeying around with the intent to win races and they are caught, they're going to get thrown out and ran over with the bus.
Let's circle this back to what we started talking about David Reagan and David Gilliland in a small team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they see that NASCAR is willing to fine two of the biggest names in our industry this much if they were caught doing something. Now, let's take out the Talladega win. Say that the fines hadn't happened and the Reagans and Gilliland said, hey, they got away with something here. What the heck? Let's throw the dice. If we get away with this, this could make us. Then we would have been a lot more suspect of a win and a second place like Front Row Motorsports had. But now it never came up. It was never a worry, never a concern that even a back marker organization, or an up-and-coming, however you want to say it, they weren't in the same categories as the Penske's and Gibbs, was able to win, and everybody left there reasonably confident that, no monkey business. That team followed the rules just like everybody else. Good win, proud of those drivers. Let's go on to the Darlington. And I think that's what NASCAR wants, the fans and everybody to trust that the competition they see on the track is policed within enough of a reasonable state that what you see is what you get.
And I agree that is taking any of the malfeasance out of it. If everybody sees that and sees what potentially, because you're looking at a situation for Front Row Motorsports. Had that happened to them, it would have that would have been it. They would have gone belly up on that point. But there too, it's keeping everybody honest, and that's what you like. Of course, there's tweaking and stuff going on, but it's if you're not winning, you're not trying, or you're not cheating, as they say. So.
There's, you got to look at it this way. They're not the Saturday night racetrack where you might want to try to cheat and get away with it, and there's nobody, you're going to lose what well-beings that you have.
Right.
But the thing is, when you sit down with NASCAR and you've got people out there that are pushing the rules and they want to enforce them, you're looking at millions of dollars of advertising revenue, and then you turn around a potential advertising revenue if they do not keep a sane and level playing field for everybody. Now, it's like you said, the Front Row Motorsports team has a good opportunity to grab a big sponsor, because somebody will say, well, I'll sponsor this team. Wasn't real keen on NASCAR, but they must run a clean house because of what they've done. They've caught some guys, even though they've readjusted the fine, at least that they didn't pull the thing out from underneath them, or they didn't hide it. They brought it to the front and said, hey, this is what can happen to you if you do this, and go from there. So yeah, you're right. They're looking at the big picture overall. NASCAR is, and that's why they're number one as far as what sanctioning bodies go.
And Lenny here,
it's not like they had to have somebody break in the middle of the night and hammer the manifolds out of a Mopar engine or anything.
This is
not that
no, not that would ever happen. And speaking of that,
no, everybody's safe in Wayne County. The security is up now. You can build motors all you want in there.
Indeed,
yeah, you don't have to worry about how the brake lines are run throughout the chassis either.
The other thing that kind of brings that back up to kind of at a local and a regional level, there's a bit more Tiregate that's going on that Tim and I were discussing a little bit earlier today as well on the local realm. Tim,
yeah, they've. The World Racing Group, I guess, the owners of UMP have really stepped up and come down hard on a bunch of local racers. Jason Fager was one of them that...
the High Side Hustler got caught.
Yeah, and O'Neill, and I'm trying to think who else. Was there somebody else involved?
Soaking some tires, I guess.
Well, yeah, they've got different things the guys are trying. Yeah, Jimmy Owens was caught, so they've caught some big-name drivers already early this season, and put some big penalties on them. So they're going to be they're watching it real close, what these guys are doing to these tires and trying to manipulate them so they give them an unfair advantage, I guess.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think Seeger didn't get the memo that Simple Green won't only clean your tires, but it's chemically wrong to put on your tires.
Yes.
That's what I guess his statement was coming out of it. And, again, the guy's looking for an advantage, trying to do things. But I kind of go back to what Childress always said when I worked with Richard. You don't mess with the the internals in the engine. You don't mess with tires, and you don't mess with fuel. And you can work on the other areas, and if you get caught, you get caught. But there are some sacred parts on those cars, and soaking tires is certainly something that. It creates a dangerous situation. It puts the driver, the person that we're all there to see, compete at a bigger risk, because I can tell you, I was there when Neil Bonnet had soft tires, not from a chemical, but made soft because of tire wars, and, wrecked at Daytona, and we lost him. Yeah. And I don't want to see any driver have to, have the softer compounds that put them in jeopardy, that we could lose any of our heroes ever again. And, I like the policing of the tires as much as I like any rule that these people do, because it at the end of the day, keeps these racers that much safer.
Well, there's a reason why there's only one tire manufacturer in NASCAR, and the reason that they go to the racetrack and give them the tires that they race on, and that's to keep them honest and keep them and keep it safe. That's right. And you can't do it with the local dirt racers, but that's another one of those things that NASCAR does to keep the playing field level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like World Racing Group as putting the World of Outlaw series and the UMPs and such. It's going to make the Hell Tour that much more hell, but it'll also make it that much safer. And I can't wait till that series cranks up and we get to hear all about the runs through Highland and I-55 and Tri-City and all the different great tracks out there in that area that series runs through.
Well, here in just a sec, we're gonna have to cut you loose, and we're gonna have to get on with Don Hayner, with the promoter there, does some work with Peebly I-55 Federated as well as Belclair Speedway. Find out what's going on with him. But it's one of those. It's just one of those events that you just look forward to on every summer. It comes around, the Hell Tour. You just can't wait to see what happens with it. And you've been staying very busy. You've got your stuff with Performance Racing Network. How can they track you down and follow you on a regular basis, my friend?
The best way for people to get involved and stay on top of short tracks and dirt tracks out here in the Southeast is to follow the radio show that we do once a week, and they can follow it on Twitter, PRN at the track. PRN at the track on Twitter. It's also got a Facebook page, and we'll keep you up to date on what's going on out here, and be back here next Wednesday for Pedal to the Metal on this station, man, with you guys, Moose and Tim. Thank you so much for having us here.
Man, we appreciate it, and thanks for all that you do. We'll hit you up, getting ready for after Darlington. Looking forward to the All-Star race and a couple of big weeks for you there at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, buddy.
Couple of big Wednesdays out here. Next week will be NASCAR night at Millbridge Speedway, so we'll be there with some folks that got their racing career started at Belclair Speedway, the Hoffmans, and then the following week is World of Outlaws night, again on a Wednesday at Millbridge, so we'll be out there. Those will be two big nights that we just have to be at and be excited to be a part of, so we'll give you some live reports from that racetrack as a part of the second half of May ignites racing out here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Guys, take care. Follow us on PRN at the track.
Man, Len Batycki, always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. We'll do it again next Wednesday, buddy.
10-4.
Thanks, Lenny.
Go racing.
Hey,
yeah, we're going to try.
Go away, rain. There, Len Batycki joining us. Of course, making up from last week, and we had to cut him loose early because he was at the track. Got a little too noisy. And coming up next, I just about did it. Pedal to the Metal Wednesday. Pedal to the Metal Wednesday. We're going to be talking to Don Hayner. He's the promoter of Belclair Speedway. Well, if you've had a boat, we could have raced a few times, but they've been washed away. We're going to find out what's going on with them this season. Coming up next here on Pedal to the Metal right here, 97.5 The Rock, and on the web at WDLJ.com.
Cash? Needing a new ride? Then you need to get to Low Cash Auto Sales, located at 912 South Locust Street in Centralia. Your old clunker won't run? Well, just push, pull, or drag it in, and we'll give you top dollar for your old car. Buy here, pay here. Just bring your driver's license, pay stub, and your down payment, and drive away today in one of our fine used cars. Open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30, or give them a call at 545-1700. Remember, if you're low on cash, you need to see Low Cash Auto Sales in Centralia.